Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
And welcome to another edition of the Irreverent Therapists. This is called the Coffee Slut, moi, and the Tea Snob, her.
That would be me. I'm going to say, I don't think we even need to read our thing, Marilyn. I think we can just talk about like how this came about, this title.
Well, the show's technically about standards and what standards you've put into your life, but it came about because I will drink pretty much any coffee from anywhere as long as I just like it black. I don't want one of those frappa-froopies or anything like that. Give me a cup of black coffee. I'll drink it from a fast food place. I'll grind
Nescafe, instant. Yeah.
I'll drink instant. Absolutely. And then, Pam, on the other hand, would you like to describe your relationship with tea?
Yes. So for many, many, many years, I've been a tea drinker, and it has to be just so. Like, like to me in the US, hardly anybody makes good tea. Like if you go to a restaurant and they bring you out this kind of lukewarm water made through a coffee machine. I'm like, that's not tea. Tea is really hot water, and you heat the pot, and you preheat the pot, then you put the tea in and you steep it just so. And, ideally you've got like some china involved and things like that. And
how many lifetimes did she have in England?
Many. I used to just watch all those British dramas and be like, home. But the other piece of this is kind of in regards to other things. Marilyn has quite high standards, except for coffee.
That's true.
And I'm kind of like, yeah, I can make do with just about anything, except when it comes to tea.
No, I was thinking the other day about wine, and I almost don't drink wine anymore. It doesn't really work well in my body, but I'm a wine snob. I can't drink bad wine. Well, I mean, I could, but I was like, I wouldn't. I don't bother with bad wine. So that's another instance where I'm a wine snob. And in a lot of ways, a food snob.
Oh, yes. I wouldn't say in a lot of ways. I would say totally.
But let me qualify here. That doesn't mean that every restaurant has to be a high-end restaurant. I have a new favorite kind of hole-in-the-wall restaurant called Anthony's, run by this fabulous, really friendly African-American guy. And you go in, you order it's Lidl at the counter. You get your drink out of the cooler. He does the best fried catfish and fried okra. So it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be really good.
Right. Well, the snob part is about the quality of the food, not the environment. Yeah.
I don't even know if that's snobby. I think it's just
it's just
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, but so over the years, like we've been joking about the coffee slut and the tea snob for years. We even thought of doing an entire podcast that was called that. Instead, we're doing it as part of this show. But we've had so many conversations about like where in your life you demand more and greater, and where you settle for whatever I can get, and where you have well, it has to be just so, and where you can have a lot of flexibility. And, so to me, like this topic speaks to all of that.
Yes.
Because
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, because like for me, so basically Marilyn and I met going to Access Consciousness classes, and we were often traveling to the same place at the same time. We roomed together frequently. And we'd go into a hotel, and Marilyn would take a look at the room and be like, no, like there's so much more possible here. And she'd talk to the staff and get changes to a new room or something.
No, snob.
What's that?
Room snob.
And I was kind of like, I can make, this was what I would say, I can make do with just about anything. And I can. And that can be a capacity,
Mhm.
but that can also be where I'm not willing to actually ask for what works for me. And I'd say when I met you, there was a lot of ways that I wouldn't ask for what actually worked for me.
Uh-huh.
I would make do in a way that's kind of limiting things.
Mhm.
And, now I'm much more, I can make anything work, but I'm also requesting and asking for what truly creates greater
Yes.
for me and everybody, right? Which is different than just getting by or making do.
Yeah.
So to me in all of this, there's like capacity, but there's using that capacity against us or for us. And
Oh, I like that. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm working on that one. I am. We both stay at this hotel that's near the airport that has just run down. It's an abomination. It's just
really
hard.
bad. It's bad.
And finally it got to the point, I have pictures of broken handles on drawers and trash lining. And this is supposed to be a nice hotel chain. But anyway, I'm like, I'm doing something different. This doesn't work. And I found a quote cheaper, line of hotels. Very clean, very nice. They don't have quite the service, but so care. Yeah. I can make it work. But one thing that I wanted to say too is that, we jokingly call you the tea snob or me the wine snob or whatever, but that's really about what works for us. That's different from a whole different, well, I don't take that, kind of that whole really self-righteous, snobby attitude of entitlement. And, there's a nice restaurant in a hotel called the Inn of the Anastasi. And one of the waiters was telling me that this couple demanded their lunch be for free. They must go around doing this because when he set the plates down, a French fry fell off.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Could they let that happen? I better have my food free.
And people are like posting about how outrageous it is that they're charging for bread in some restaurants. Well, it's right there on the menu. You don't want it, don't get it. And generally it's a nice selection. It's not like they're plopping down 2 rolls or something.
When the word that keeps popping into my head, Marilyn, is adaptability or like something like that. Cause like, there used to be a time where for you, if it wasn't just so in the hotel, that created a lot of problem for you. Like you were unhappy and you couldn't relax and stuff like that. Whereas now you're like, I can do this, but I'd much rather have it this way. Right?
I've become more adaptable.
Yeah.
And I would say less the effect of what's outside of me.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because so if I have to have it this way, I can't enjoy my tea unless it's just so.
Yeah.
Then I can't, where I said adaptable, I can't adapt very well, but I'm at the effect of, okay, I'm in the US at this, airport restaurant getting all for tea. I'm not really enjoying my tea or whatever. And whereas, if I can be that space of like, when I can have it, I really prefer tea that's super well made. And I actually enjoy being a tea snob, like it's fun for me. Yeah. And so I can enjoy it and have it be part of my life. And, if you come to my house, you open this, like 5-shelf thing and it's all tea. Because I have lots of different tea.
Out of town, you could set up kind of a neighborhood tea shop,
You totally could. And so I enjoy that and I have fun with that. But if I'm somewhere where I can't have tea, it's not going to bug me. Or if it's so tea or whatever, it's like, so it's to me, like being able to enjoy this thing that's, kind of important to you and that you like having really well done, but also having the flexibility of you're not your day's not ruined if it's not able to be there.
Or your life's not ruined.
Yes.
A great
Yes.
source of trauma drama.
I used to let my life be ruined by a bad cup of tea. Not really, but
It's fun to say. Well, I was looking at all the things where I have certain standards. So my sense is, and this is a huge generalization, but when we used to go to Europe 15 years ago or stuff, mostly they had different physical hygiene standards.
that's a very polite way of putting it.
But I'm a hygiene snob, and I think most Americans are, so you're passing out deodorant and things like that. I don't know that I've become much more adaptable in that, but I think in some ways I have.
Yeah.
But you just have to look at what really works for you. And that's not a question that we're used to asking ourselves.
Mhm.
We're used to, my mother was basically, take what you get, take what you're given. And okay, sometimes that's fine. And sometimes it's like, well, what would it take for something greater to show up? Yeah. And so part of it is asking a question. Like I might ask, even in the airport is the best food? Mm-hmm. Where could I go that I could get something that was really fresh and lovely and nourishing? And sometimes it's a big surprise. It's not the sit-down restaurant, it's something else.
Yeah.
But standards in writing, I don't like to read things that are poorly written. Mm-hmm. We all have standards. And I think we even said in our little blurb, which I have somewhere, what standards have you adopted through the years? Are they contributing? I'm having a difficult time articulating today, or detracting from your life? Are you in control of them, or do they control you? And I think that's a really good point.
Well, and I love what you said about, what works for me. And what I love about looking at it as, does this work for me? Does this not work for me? Is there's no judgment in that.
Right.
Right. It's not that, well, this works for me because it's the right thing to be doing or the right way for things to be or anything. It's just, this is working for me. This isn't. And so, from that space, a given situation might sometimes work for you and sometimes not. Today I require really feeling like pampered and taken care of. And I want someone to make me a nice cup of tea in my China cup. And, because it does something for me. Yes. But I don't require it. I don't have to have it be that way. It's just what works for me, but not having it can work for me also. And
well, through the years, Pam, and particularly using the access tools, there's been a lot of emphasis on what does work for you. What do you know about you? What's true for you? And I was doing a session with a woman earlier today, a phone session, but she's like, well, I don't know where I want to live. And so I was like, what do you require? And she's, well, that could work, maybe. And what I realized in the end is she had no idea what really works for her.
Yeah.
So we went into a whole nother level.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what you said about asking questions, because like wherever you are, whatever's going on, if you go into question, and it has to be a real question, not a, oh, this sucks. What else is possible with a question? Like I'm judging this terribly and putting a question mark at the end. But really there's always something else possible. Yes. And what am I aware of, and where can I go, and where can my body lead me that I'm going to, find something that works for me. All of that, like when you ask questions, it opens doors that weren't there and open before, and it creates possibilities that weren't there before you asked the question. Yeah. So it's a great way to start to shift the energy of anything going on.
I was thinking about, I love to eat out. I eat out a lot. And I was thinking back to the pandemic, and where New Mexico, where we live, was very strict. It was one of the stricter states, unlike Texas or whatever. Anyway, so all the restaurants were closed. All the stores except grocery stores and drugstores were closed. And it was in December, and I'm like, I really want to go out to eat. So one of the local hotels, it's kind of hard to describe, but they have a big parking lot, and part of it goes under this huge walkway to a whole nother set of rooms. So what they did was they fenced off that whole under area and put tables outside because you could eat outside. It was 37 degrees. I put on all my winter coats, and they were in their down jackets. And I had a hamburger and fries and endless coffee, I think, hot coffee. That's adaptive. I was glad I got to go out to eat. We had fun. There were a few other people there, but that's going with the flow and not just, and I think everybody had, the whole pandemic was about adaptability in so many different ways.
Well, and I mean, I think that, that kind of really sums up the whole conversation, which is like, have your standards, be a tea snob, be a wine snob, be a coffee slut. Like, you have your places where you're asking and demanding more, of your experience, and places where it's not that important to you, but also have that flexibility. So you're not at the effect of it, that your day gets ruined if you're at the bad hotel or, whatever it is.
I can't eat out. Right.
And I think knowing yourself and knowing what does work for you and what doesn't, and where, where, I don't want to say important, but, where it's more a higher priority for you to have it, and so you can put your energy into those places where, it really does, like, okay, bread, if I have this bread or this bread, personally, I don't care. I don't really want Wonder Bread, but, like, I don't care as much. Tea, I'm like, oh yeah, I have a little more preference there. It's funny because I've recently started being a coffee drinker as well, and I'm a coffee snob.
Yes, I can attest to that.
I'm traveling and I'm taking my really good coffee with me and my little, like, stainless steel thing to make the coffee in and all, because I'm like, the very first time I went to have the hotel coffee after I started drinking some coffee, I was like, no way.
Not happening.
That's, then I can just know that about myself. I travel a lot. I'm taking my tea stuff with me. And my coffee stuff. And I just bought like this little thing that you can heat up your milk in for your coffee. I'm like, and but I can have fun with that. And if I went somewhere and didn't have any of that, I would be totally fine. But I can indulge it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking just how much knowing yourself makes a difference. I love to travel, but I'm a little bit older, and there's certain things I don't want to go climb rocks in Zion National Park in the summer. They're just, knowing what works for you applies to every area of your life. Do you want to do a car trip? Are you okay with sitting in economy?
Yeah.
Or would you rather just save up your money and take one trip in first class? Really, what does matter to you?
Yeah. And then it changes, like what you and your body wanted to do on vacation 10 years ago and what it works now might be different. And it's being present with it and knowing you change, your body changes. You can have your preferences, you can adapt, like it's all available to you.
It's all available to you. Awesome.
Here we go. Cue the music. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time.